Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, we're going to be talking about when men get anxious about their next sexual encounter and how that messes with your sex life in general for both the man and the woman. Before that, please do subscribe. Tomorrow's subscriber episode is going to be on how kids deserve a happy parent, but a lot of people don't know what this looks like if they didn't grow up seeing any happy adults. And the previous one was on women who say, "Are you done yet?" So you got almost 100 subscriber episodes. And please do join my Facebook group if you like the stuff in my podcast. There's no reason you wouldn't like my Facebook group too. So that is a separate subscription, but it is cheaper slightly, $4.99 a month. Anyway, so what are we talking about today? So, a lot of guys say that they get very anxious about when their next encounter is going to be, and this really fucks with their current encounter, because if you don't know the next time that you're going to do something you like, you get really, really crazy about making the most out of it, and that when you're dealing with a partner is going to make you very anxious. You're not into your experience. You're kind of like you get, it could go one way or the other. Either you get obsessed with your own enjoyment or you get obsessed with their enjoyment. So a guy will kind of either become obsessed with being Mr. Lover that gives her the best time of her life, and then of course he's going to get so anxious with all that pressure that he's probably going to lose his erection, or he's going to not actually be very good in bed because she feels like he's being fake, or like dramatic or whatever, or porn like, or he's going to become obsessed with his own pleasure and be selfish and try to get her to do a whole bunch of things, the porn montage, sex, because he doesn't know when it's ever going to come again. And you could understand how this would be like if, for example, you only had, let's say, some horrible dramatic situation. You only had, one day a month with your child. There are situations like this, where people have supervised visitation and they have to be supervised by a psychologist or something like that. And it's terrible, Of course you did something terrible to get into that situation. That goes without saying. But anyway, also, it's terrible because the person is just so anxious. They're just so anxious about screwing anything up, and they want to have like this good day, but instead it's only a couple hours, and they're like in a shopping mall, food court or something. It's like crazy. It feels unnatural. And this is somebody who actually knows the next time that they're going to see their kid, but it's just like not enough. And they don't really know because they could fuck something up somehow, or the kid could say they fucked something up. So it's like a horrible sort of situation. Everybody could think of that as a horrible situation. So you just got to use your empathic brain to understand that to a guy where this is like he gets love literally once a month. He's not in a very different situation, and you personally may, as a woman, if you're listening, think that the parent-child bond should be stronger than the, than the bond between two adults. I agree totally. That's the same thing I say, is women will always get their kid out of a burning building before they get their husband out. But that doesn't mean that the man doesn't love his wife as much as she loves the kids, and also that they shouldn't love each other. Of course they should love each other. Nothing is as strong as a mother-child bond. Many things are not, but it's got to be somewhere near there for you to have a loving marriage. So the guy is only getting love in this situation like once a month or something, maybe every couple weeks, maybe, and he never knows. He never knows when it's going to happen. Unless, of course, he's smart enough to start tracking ovulation, then he knows when it's going to happen, but it's still only once a month. So he gets like really obsessed with making the most out of this situation, just like the person in that sad analogy I made, where they only get that little bit of time with their kid. And so this is like a sad situation. And a lot of women don't see it as a sad situation, and that is because the guys don't say it's a sad situation. They just say that they're mad, or they're irritated, or they're frustrated, because those are more empowering emotions and don't make you feel as weak and stupid and pathetic and unlovable as the other way does. And men don't like to feel vulnerable in those ways. They don't like to say, man, I feel so sad and unloved all the time because I'm like, begging you for attention and for affection. That sounds pathetic. Men are trained not to say things like that, but it doesn't mean that that's not what they feel, because it is. So if you could see it like that, then perhaps you will be open to my idea, which is scheduling sex, which really works better for everybody. Now, if you're a guy who's in this situation, but also your ego is too big to schedule sex, then you got really no use for this podcast, because your ego is so big that it's stopping you, it's sabotaging you. So you can't both want to, and very few people that have listened to this many of my podcasts have this big of an ego that's getting in their way. But in case anybody does, you can't, there's no free lunch, can't have two things at once. You can't have a woman have sex with you within monogamy, but also she has to act like it's outside of monogamy. That's not real. So in monogamy, it's not spontaneous desire. I've hammered this home a lot. It's going to be responsive desire. She needs to know what's coming and when and get herself in the headspace for it. So you can't pretend that it can be something that it's not. And if you are that kind of guy, she's not going to schedule sex. So what do I mean by this is a lot of women say, yeah, sure, let's schedule sex. And the guy's like, no. That's not spontaneous. That's bullshit. We shouldn't have to do that. It should be organic. Oh, yeah, fuck you. Does that make any sense? What is like, why don't you say that to your boss? When your boss says, why didn't you show up for the meeting? You say, man, I think it's organic. Like, I should show up when I'm feeling it, when I'm really passionate about it, then I should, show up to the meeting. You're going to be out on your ass from your job. And so many of the men I'm talking to are at the boss level, and that's not how you got there either. So it's the same thing here. You cannot have two things. You can't have a spontaneous organic encounter, but also be in a monogamous, long-term, multi-year relationship with an aging female, so I mean, and be an aging man and also be in reality. So anyway, the scheduling sex is a lot easier because most women will do it on the weekend. If they love you, they'll do it on the weekend because they really don't have much excuse on the weekend, quite honestly, and they are much more relaxed. So they'll even do it maybe twice on the weekend. And then maybe they'll even do it during the week if they know which day it's coming. So that's the day that you can put the kids to bed while they take a shower or whatever your modus operandi is in this regard. So knowing that sex is coming is like a really big deal that can make women feel a lot more in control of their environment. And then the man feels more in control too, because he knows, all right, if I come too quick on Wednesday, I know that I have a second chance on Saturday. And a lot of this, by the way, the other anxiety happens when, as I've talked about a lot, it can't be all riding on the penis. And I have a podcast coming out with that awesome title soon. It can't all ride on the penis, pun intended. But if everything is about intercourse and everything is about like the 5 minutes of intercourse, and he gets 5 minutes of intercourse every 2 weeks, I mean, what the fuck? Like, do you do anything that you like for only 5 minutes every 2 weeks? Probably not. Probably not something that you like that much. Like, you don't eat for 5 minutes every 2 weeks. So anyway, the point being that if everything is riding on the erection, he's going to lose it. As he gets older and he struggles with more depression and less testosterone, he is, and you know what, you're not as hot, right? None of us are. Every passing minute, takes away just a little bit of hotness on both sides. So you're not as hot, he's not as hot, nobody's as young, the novelty isn't there. And so expecting that he's going to magically, get his erection, sans stimulation, because many women don't even touch it, and then he's going to really knock your socks off for the full 5 to 7 minutes he's allotted. And I mean, it's like a satire, except that it's many people's lives. So try to think about it like, oh my God, actually that would be so fucking stressful. What if everything was riding on you being the exact right level of wet to give him an orgasm and to make him enjoy himself so that he would ever decide to do it again with you? That would be so much pressure. You would probably have a panic attack, right? And you would never get wet. So it's the same thing for guys. So if you want to actually be a loving partner to a man that wants to have sex, which is all of them mostly, then, you got to say, all right, on Wednesday and Saturday, or if you really want to kick it into high gear, as I spoke about recently in a video, it seems like the couples that have sex 3 times a week, in my experience as a couples counselor, are the happier ones, because it's a few times. There's something magical about having sex a few times a week versus a couple couple or less. So let's say you do it on Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, right? There you go. You got your schedule. So you do it on Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So then, he knows, like, okay, we do it Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Also, we do other things too. I'm able to give her an orgasm in other ways. So if I get anxious on Sunday because we're not doing it again till Wednesday, holy shit, I better, perform adequately. I always know that we could do other things too, and it's not just riding on this straight up intercourse for like 7 minutes max. That is very, very, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, and it's not enjoyable either, but we have bigger fish to fry than enjoyable. We're talking about what's anxiety provoking. After we fix the anxiety provoking, then we can get to what's enjoyable, which I talk about all the time. There can't be like one way that a woman gets off, and it's from like no foreplay, no touch, 5 minutes intercourse. Cool. What is that? That's not a sex life. That's using a man as a vibrator or a dildo, really. And, you wouldn't like it if he said the only way that we can have a sex life is that you have to go down on me for 5 minutes. No foreplay, no talking. I prefer, you to act this way and this way, make these sounds. That's the way that we can have our sex life. No, that's not real. That I don't know any woman that would say yes to that. So therefore, it's pretty much the same thing if you're just like using his dick, which sounds so good, especially to young men. Oh my God, that would be wonderful. Be somebody's sex slave. Not when the sex that you're enslaved to is shit. Then it's not fun. And I hear this constantly in my sessions. So anyway, the point is scheduling sex, as well as I'm expanding this to include having sex with more dimensions than just straight up 5 minutes of intercourse, can really assuage the anxiety that a man feels about when he is going to get to enjoy himself. Because let's be real, majority of us on average are in our 40s listening to this. When do you have your daily dopamine rush? Do you have one every day? Most people don't. The kids are great. They do. It's all joy and no fun, as the Jennifer Senior book title says. And as they get older, it could be more fun. As they're little, sometimes it's fun. But, it's more like big picture joy than moment to moment thrills. And then you go to work, which can be deeply fulfilling, yet is not a passion fest, and then it's like, what do? Eat dinner, watch a show. For the majority of people, the limited bit of magic they have in their lives is in the romantic sphere, particularly for men. And if women were able to see this more, they would understand why the man becomes so obsessed with the weekly or bi-weekly or hopefully multiple times a week encounter, because this is the only time in the week that it really feels like he is he's like living his best life. Assuming that the sex is not mechanical and rote and only lasts for 5 minutes. So, you want to give somebody the opportunity to live their best life. And if you do not feel as the woman that you are living your best life during sex, certainly train him how to do more things, and also train him how to give your life magic in other regards, like being romantic. Because most women, if they say, listen, I'm ready to schedule sex 3 times a week. I'm ready to do it. But you know what else? I really like you to schedule romance 3 times a week. So I want to know that we're going out to dinner every Friday, that we have a standing babysitter, and that at least 2 times during the week we are going to have like a deep conversation, or you're going to say something nice to me. I think that most men would be like, I'll try it. Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Most men would be like, yeah, fucking right. Yeah, you're going to have sex with me 3 times a week in my wildest dreams. Yeah, right. Fuck you. I don't believe you. Is it April 1st today? But after they got over that, they would be like, I'll try it. So both of you should be trying to bring magic into the other one's lives and to limit anxiety. Because, women get the same thing. If they only get 1 date night a year, then of course, if it goes badly, they're going to feel like shit. And that's why some men are like, why did she pick a fight on date night? Well, how often do you go on date night? Well, every, 4 to 6 months. Well, because she hates you, because you only go on date night every 4 to 6 months. So she got so much expectation built up. It's going to be the most magical night of her life, that the minute that you say some dumb shit on date night, like forget her friend's name that she's been talking about for 6 months at work, then she's going to be mad because she had all these hopes riding on date night. And, nothing happened that was even remotely magical. And that's how men feel about the sex life. And when people have a lot of stuff riding on, a lot of expectations riding on scarce sorts of experiences, then shit hits the fan. As you know, from having fights on date night or having fights about sex or losing your erection or whatever. All right, I hope that this was interesting to you. Please do subscribe. Please do join my Facebook group. Please follow me on TikTok. On TikTok is a whole fucking different world, man. It's like the Wild West. It's like mostly like 25-year-old dudes. But, it's possibly the only place where a 25-year-old dude is going to hear me talk about marriage, which may burrow itself into his subconscious and stop him from making some terrible decisions. Anyway, nice to talk to you all in this non-reciprocal fashion. I recently learned a word, parasocial, that people feel they're having a parasocial relationship with podcasters because it's like I'm talking to you, but it's like half of a conversation. So that's interesting. Parasocial relationship. Whoever told me that knows that they're getting a shout out right now. And I will talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.